Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a top level executive assistant, co founder, and now leads a multi million dollar fractional executive assistant service business. No other than Mr. Ethan Bull.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Ethan. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Ethan Bull. I am a career executive assistant. I've been in this role for over 40 years. No, over 30 years. And lived in New York City about 20 years. And then when our second son came along, we moved to upstate New York. And my wife, who is also an executive assistant, we decided to start Pro Assisting, which is a fractional executive assistant service company.
Mr. Ethan Bull, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. My cheering squad out there, cheering for you. And thank you so much for that. And today, let's talk about maximizing business operational efficiency. How do you define operational efficiency in practical terms for small business?
Well, the way I see it is that a lot of times a business is started with one or two people, and those are usually the founders. And if you want to grow, there are things that those founders do that still need to get done, but shouldn't be done by them. It should be done by someone else. And a lot of times that first hire is an executive assistant, someone who can be that point person and keep things off of a founder's plate and take things off of a founder's plate to create efficiency. And that's when the founder gains leverage within the business to focus on strategy and sales and product development or service development to grow the business. And so operational efficiency is something that at times can be hard to put a return on investment figure on, but it is essential if you want to grow a business and then eventually one day potentially sell a business.
Do your best work, not your busy work. Can you expound this phrase on your website?
Well, busy work for an entrepreneur or a founder would be paying invoices or scheduling meetings or, doing social media posting or dealing with customer questions or client questions, interacting with service providers. And all of those things make the business run, but a lot of it could be considered busy work, where the best work happens is when the founder is in their zone of genius, if you will, and they're actually moving the needle on the sales, on the product development, on the strategy of the business. And that's where, as we started talking about, operational efficiency comes into play.
What's the most common operational bottleneck you see in growing companies?
Entrepreneurs and business owners can be a fickle bunch. And it's the quote unquote, I can do it faster myself mentality. Because a lot of times, entrepreneurs and founders of businesses don't want to slow down to teach someone how to do something because they're not realizing the compounding effect of having someone else do that thing from here on out. And that time compounds and that gives them the free space to do their best work.
Interesting answer, Mr. Ethan. Very well said. Very well said. And How can leaders measure efficiency beyond just cost cutting?
I'm sorry.
How can leaders measure efficiency beyond just cost cutting?
Well, I think the best founders are ones who want to live a balanced life at some point and are you know looking to have time with family, time in the business, and not be overwhelmed with everything all at once all the time. And so being able to have a team around you, uh, whether that's um, other C-suite executives, your executive assistant, other service providers providing support for your business. They understand that, you know, in a lot of cases, it's a marathon. And if they burn out right away, right out of the gate, they're not going to have any gas in the tank to get them through. So, I mean, that's how I see the most successful founders and entrepreneurs leading their business, is that they delegate, that they get over any micromanaging tendencies because there is so much coming at them all the time.
How do you balance standardization with flexibility in operations?
It's not the easiest thing to answer. There are a lot of situations that are cut and dry, and you can create a standard operating procedure in document format that someone can follow. Um, but I also say I wouldn't want to take the human out of it, and I would want the person leveraging those directions to do so in a manner that doesn't take their brain out of it. So if something is amiss, they can course correct in the moment. Um, so it is a bit of a gray area.
Mr. Ethan, what is your step by step approach to auditing and improving business process?
When I am speaking to a prospect, the first thing I ask is, what are you doing that you do not like doing, may not be necessarily good at, or keeps getting pushed down your priority list? And there are always things on the inner workings, the operational side of a business that uh, fill those spots with a founder. And once you start uncovering them and they start seeing the relief or feeling the relief when those things are taken off of their plate, it can be freeing, and it can also get them to think of and look for other areas that maybe they're not the best at, or that they're the one who's stuck doing this, and finding that support person that they can turn to. And that's what we're experts at. We're experts at being that kind of jack of all trades under five performance multipliers that kind of allow someone to take those things off their plate and do their best work and focus on, you know, driving the business forward. And that, again, that's growth, that's business, that's the name of the game.
That's the name of the game for sure. And let's talk about the team and workflow. How can teams identify and eliminate time wasting tasks without disrupting morale?
I actually think probably the team in a lot of instances would welcome getting rid of time wasting tasks that are either outdated for the current state of the business or just not needed, and have been put there in place by either a manager or an owner who feels that that information is needed when it in fact it's not. So you know, you obviously you want to create efficiencies, and I think reassessing where your business is at and understanding that something you were doing 6 months or 12 months ago may not be pertinent at the current state that you're in. So at least having that wherewithal to know whether what you're asking your team to do is actually needed. I can tell you from firsthand experience, there's nothing we dislike more than to do something on a weekly or monthly basis. And after the first week or the first month, it never gets looked at again. But then we're still required to produce that information and or run that report when it's never actually looked at. So the first step is assessing, is this what we really need?
Mr. Ethan, what is your framework for deciding what to automate? Delegate or eliminate?
I think it's on a case by case basis. I think it's difficult to answer a question like that when everyone runs their business differently. Everyone feels that their business demands or depends on certain information. Whether that's valid or not, it's kind of up for the owner to decide. I know in our personal business and running Pro Assisting, we've gone from being the support to now running a business that provides that support. It's a much different it's a much different ball game in terms of what the day to day. And so the funny thing is that I talk to so many different business owners, especially over the last 7 years as we've been running this business, and I've seen all shapes and sizes of businesses, of founders, and each of them uses and leverages support in a different way. So it's kind of it, it is that gray area within business.
Mr. Ethan, as an executive assistant and co founder, what are your short term and long term goals?
Right now, the assistant support space is kind of becoming somewhat commoditized in that we have, options springing up all over the place. And so, eh, you know, my my short-term goal is to keep our clients happy, to keep more clients coming into our business. Long term, I hope we can keep doing what we're doing. We're keeping an eagle eye on artificial intelligence, what that is doing within our business. And we're also looking at all of the competition that has sprung up and how we're different and telling our story. And so, yeah, it's an interesting time, and I would love to be able to be here 7 years from now and say, we've continued to grow, and we've stayed in business, and but that's always the struggle.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Ethan, and looking forward for more success for sure. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be, of course, like you?
You know, as a career executive assistant, I never thought owning my own business was going to be in the cards, and then it just kind of happened. What I do speak to a lot of individuals who are saying, "Hey, how did you do what you did and what you are doing?" And it's really about leveraging your career experience that you've built up over your career and being able to um, provide that experience, provide that service that you're doing in whatever it is you are doing in a fractional way, in a way that can serve clients instead of bosses. I really feel that's kind of one of the easiest ways to get started in business.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Ethan. And can you please recommend a book that influenced your journey or books that influence your journey?
Yeah, I really love the book. Most recently, it's called "From Strength to Strength" by Arthur C. Brooks, and it's a book about exactly what I just said, that there is a third act in all of our careers, and you get to choose how you want that third act to play out. And for us, it was taking what we knew, seeing a gap in the marketplace, and launching a service business. As if you're in a C-suite or you are an executive or in any other field, you can take that knowledge and you can have a third act of your career. And that's really what kind of that book is all about.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Ethan, and hoping our listeners or viewers will read it. Let's talk about the problem solving. What's your method for troubleshooting persistent operational failures?
What's funny is one person may look at something as being an operational failure and another may look at it as being an operational necessity. Um, so again, it's almost like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. you know. Um, so I mean, again, I'm ruthless in cutting out operational things in our own business that really is busy work, meaning busy work under the term of not really moving the needle and not needing to get done. And if you stop doing it and turned around 3 months from now, it wouldn't make a difference. So, it's about assessing, is this truly needed? And if it is, being able to provide context to the team about why. Because once a team has context, even, you know, that helps spur a team along. If you're not providing any context, they'll just be thinking, oh, they just want to do this to provide busy work for us to do something. So I think it's really important to um, be open with your team about the context surrounding anything you're asking them to do. And I know that is extremely important between a principal and an executive assistant in that partnership too.
Mr. Ethan, let's talk about the mindset and leadership. What mindset shift separate truly efficient leaders from reactive ones?
I feel like I've gone through a transition in my leadership over the last 7 years, and I think uh, there is an inherent stress in being a business owner that is separate from being a W-2 employee. And I think that stress can create that, you know, um, tension and quick reactions to problems or situations. I've become a lot better at just slowing down and discussing things with Stephanie and taking that extra beat around um, how to react to any given situation, whether it's client related or whether it's executive assistant related and one of our partners or with a vendor. Just being able to take that beat is so important. And I feel like I've grown as a leader in terms of realizing that. I actually had a conversation today that if I had the conversation on Friday when I got the note, I would have been much more, I think, angry in the situation. But I was able to take the weekend and rethink through the conversation and come at it from a different perspective. So it's not always easy, but that's the goal.
What metrics should every business track to gauge efficiency?
You want to know your client or customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost you to get a client signed on to your service or buy your product? And then you also need to know the lifetime value of that client or customer. so you know if you're wildly outspending to get them in the door. Um, I focus religiously on a monthly basis on free cash flow, knowing how much money the business is generating, and basically so we can live our lives and we can grow the business, and we also know when we can invest and where to invest. Um, I think knowing your finances both on the personal side of your life combined with your business side is so important. And so from business metrics, I really do think it's customer acquisition cost, lifetime value. What is your gross margin? What's your net margin? What's your free cash flow post tax? Those are the most important ones for us. But also as a family, how much are you spending a month as a family? And
Yes.
that is so important to really be able to know that you're focusing on the right things in the business, um, and being able to make that leap to business ownership. So having your personal finances in order is so important.
Mr. Ethan, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in third season, Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Ethan, if you could only give one piece of recommendation to improve operations, what would it be?
Try and if you can get over the quote unquote I can do it faster myself mentality and delegate properly, the time dividend months and years down the road is immense. And that is where you can live your best life, both with your business and in your business, and also outside with your family, outside of your business. So that's my probably top advice.
Mr. Ethan Ball, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or any projects that you're doing right now?
I if you go to our website proassisting.com, you can get our book for free.
Yes, definitely. And can you please come back and let's talk about your book itself, Mr. Ethan?
Sure, I'd love to, Daniel. Thank you so much.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Ethan Bell because if you support him, for sure, more and more and more empowering books to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come, and for sure, more and more empowering business to come. So, Mr. Ethan, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.